This is the eSkill webinar, How Acceptance Insurance Achieved 100% Amazing Recruiting Success for Sales Roles, presented by Chitquita McCarthur, Director of Talent Acquisition at Acceptance Insurance. So a little bit about this webinar. I'm Sheila Clefcorn, VP of Marketing with eSkill, and I'm excited about this because every company has challenges filling sales roles. Getting sales leaders is really important. So if your company's been revenue challenged because of sales agent turnover, or if you've been struggling to find the best candidates for your sales roles, then this is the webinar for you. In this webinar, you're going to learn how Acceptance Insurance leveraged and customized eSkill assessments to identify retail insurance sales agents who were likely to pass their certification exam and be successful in the role. So not just landing sales agents, but those that would be successful. Prior to using eSkill, Acceptance Insurance experienced a nearly 80% drop-off rate in matching successful candidates to those retail insurance sales agents roles. You're going to learn how they transformed their recruitment of sales agents and how they experienced 100% success in their recruiting. Their executives are thrilled with the recruitment success and the budget savings. So with no further ado, I want to introduce you to Chitquita McCarthur. She's an MBA. She's a certified human resources professional with over 22 years of human resources and management experience. She holds an MBA from Bethel University and a bachelor in business administration and human resources management from Middle Tennessee State University. She is the director of talent acquisition at Acceptance Insurance, and she's responsible for managing and leading the senior talent acquisition team while developing and deploying transformative talent acquisition practices and driving strategic human capital outcomes for the company. I am thrilled to have with us Chitquita McCarthur. Chitquita, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, Sheila. Thank you. And thank eSkills for this opportunity and allow me to come on and talk about the struggles that we had during the pandemic and then what we did to overcome those and meet our business objectives in hiring the right people for our insurance sales role. So a little bit about my story and about what happened at Acceptance during the peak season. We were entering the downcline of the pandemic, but health was still a major concern for many of the candidates and the hiring managers at Acceptance. At that time, we had over 100 open job requisitions within our sales department, and we had zero candidate flow. And I know that was no different for any other organization. We were all vying for viable candidates to fill our open positions. We were also experiencing a very low quality of hire. We had candidates that could not pass the insurance license exam, so that was an issue that we were having to face. And then our hiring managers were forced to add the responsibility of being a recruiter to their daily duties. The application that we had in place at the time had about 140 questions that were an assessment, and that assessment was part of the application process. So once you filled out your basic contact information, then you were thrown right into an assessment that had over 140 questions. And that's where we were experiencing the drop-off rate for our candidates that were applying. Once they got into that assessment, most of them would just abandon it and leave it. And so we were left with no candidate flow coming through to fill our open roles. During that time, the recruiting trends that we were dealing with was due to the pandemic. It was a historic change agent for the talent acquisition teams everywhere, not just at Acceptance. The hiring process now had to be changed and modified where we could combine the virtual and the in-person process to get the hiring process done, and that became the norm, and that was no longer the exception. Many companies embraced increased internal hiring. We dealt with the DE&I being a major role in recruiting due to the social unrest we had in the nation. And then recruiters had to expand their skill set and help their hiring manager during this precedented time that no one had ever experienced before. At acceptance, prior to using eSkills, again, we had over 100 open job recs, zero quality candidate flow. The quality of hire was very low. We had that 140 question assessment that was causing us to have an 80% drop off. One of the things that we did as a company, we came together to see what we could do to improve our candidate flow and increase the quality of our hire. And the first thing that we knew we had to do was change the assessment. And that's when we went on the hunt for a company that would allow us to customize the assessment, because it needed to do two things. It needed to identify candidates that had the possibility of passing a test, but then it also had to identify their skill set that was needed to be successful on the job. And so we met with eSkills, and the platform and the skills tests were customizable for our specific roles. So we didn't have to have something that was already predetermined. We were able to go in and say, this is where we're seeing the gap for our candidates passing the license exam. So this is the subject matter that we want to test to be sure that they'll be successful in passing the test. The eSkills were also able to stimulate our work environment, so our questions would allow them to be contract questions, right? It just wasn't those theoretical questions. It was true contract questions that they were often answer in day-to-day interaction with our customers. This allowed us to be able to identify training needs by the candidate and then customize our training to help them be successful. So we just didn't have a training that fit one for all. We were able to specify the training to the desired candidate to get them what they need to be able to pass the licensing exam. This also helped us drastically reduce the number of questions on the assessment. We went from 140 to 32 questions on our assessment, and we made it where it was not a part of the application process. So once you apply for a job at acceptance, the recruiter would contact you, do their screening, and then kind of give you tips and tricks to let you know, hey, there's an assessment coming up. We'll send it out to you and then answer any questions that you may have. The ability of our candidates to take the assessment on their mobile phone was a game changer for us. A lot of our candidates do not have the luxury of having computers at home. And so the ability to be able to take the assessment on their cell phone drastically increased the number of candidates within our candidate flow. We highly recommend using eSkill Talent Assessment Platform for the recruitment of top salespeople. It has been a game changer at acceptance. Any questions?
Thank you so much. That was such great information. We have a few questions coming in, and if those of you on the webinar have more questions, please do put them into the chat. So, Chitquita, one of the questions is just related to, this was a big change, and it was during COVID where there was, in the pandemic, where there was already a lot of change going on. How did you get your executives buy into this process of change?
Well, at the time, Sheila, what happened, because we had so many open positions, the executive team was at their wits' ends about what to do. So they were very open about trying something new. But of course, I had to make sure that I brought in the data. And we were able to partner with eSkills and talk to other companies that you had done business with to see how your platform had helped them with their hiring process. So it was due to the partnership that we leveraged with eSkills that we were able to bring in the data to help our executives see the importance and see how eSkills could really help us with our candidate flow.
That's great. And how did you go about getting set up with eSkill? Was it easy? Was it hard? What was that like?
As far as getting the platform set up?
Yep, and customizing the skills test.
So we had a team assigned to us with the implementation, and that was really the easiest part for us. We met on a biweekly basis, and at acceptance, we use Workday as our ATS as well as our HRIS. So eSkills, because they had worked with other companies that had Workday, they knew that we would have to bring in a third party to kind of help with that integration. So we had project management meetings every 2 weeks to say, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is what we've accomplished. Let's test this. So through that process, I want to say it took maybe about 30 days to get us up and running in our Workday system where our candidates could apply online. We send the assessment out. The results comes back in 2 workdays, so our hiring managers can see it when they go into the system to look at the summary of the candidates. So the implementation team that we had at eSkills was very instrumental in making it a seamless process for us.
That's great to hear. And what was the experience for the candidates?
Oh, the experience for the candidates was great. So before we rolled it out to our candidates, we actually had a lot of our hiring managers and team members take the assessment. And a lot of them liked how quick and easy it was. We had some take it on a PC. We had others take it on the mobile because we wanted to capture the flexibility of the mobile piece of it, because that's a very important piece in our candidate pool. So it was very easy to use. We kind of knew where the gaps were for us before we rolled it out to our candidates. We haven't had any complaints from our candidates, whereas before with the assessment that we had that had 140 questions, it would lock up on them or they would kind of lose their place and we would have to restart it over. But with us having such a short assessment, they're able to get in and out quickly with no hiccups.
And now that you've had 100% placement rate, how are those candidates doing in the jobs?
They're doing very well. In 2021, we had about over 100 open sales positions, and now with eSkills, which we implemented toward the end of last year, about the same time actually. This is our anniversary. We carry about 30 open sales positions at this time.
Wow, that's a huge decrease. That's great. And that the fact that the candidates are working out and that it's an easier process for your hiring managers too. What's been their experience?
Their experience has been very well. So when we initially started, eSkills was just used for our retail sales positions, but because it's customizable, as we hire and grow in other departments and we feel like we need an assessment for them as well, where our training team is able to go in and create an assessment that we need to at least tell us the level of experience a person has, or if they have the skill set that they have on their resume. So eSkills continues to grow with us as our business needs grow, and it's just not being stagnant with our retail sales department.
That's fantastic. So you used it for recruiting, and then you also used it to help in training. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you help use the skills test with training?
With training, our assessment is broken down into different categories. We have a sales part, a customer service part, and a basic math. And then we have what's called P&C, and that's the property and casualty license part that you will have to pass as a sales agent. And so based upon, we can see in those different categories what you score. So if there's an area that you are lacking in or need a little bit more help in, then we can tailor the training to cover that subject matter a little bit more than they would the other subject matters that you did well in.
That's great. Any final feedback about how the process has been in terms of working with eSkill and the skills tests?
Well, the only thought that I have is I'm looking forward as we continue to grow to see all of the different assessment that eSkills can offer us. We do it as a recruitment tool, but then we're also going to look at it after you've been with us a while to kind of help us with career development. So that's something that we're looking at with eSkills, and I'm optimistic about what the future holds for us in eSkills.
Thank you so much, Chitquita, for your feedback. For those of you on the call who are thinking about your own sales roles and how you can increase your investment in hiring and sales managers, sales leaders, sales people, eSkill can really make the difference in terms of helping you find the right candidates with the right fit, and then also help to train them to be more successful on the roles. If you're interested in having a demo of the eSkill platform, please visit us at eskill.com. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. We appreciate your time. Have a great day.